Parish Council meeting on Monday, August 23rd, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Ronald Fortune with Covenant Church in Destrehan.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for bringing us together tonight, for the privilege of being able to serve you to help and administer the business of the parish here, and for the many gifts you have given us which enable that. We ask for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and guidance throughout this meeting, that all of our thoughts and actions will reflect your holy will. Lord, let us remember that all of our concerns are aimed at the betterment of our parish community. Father, help us to recognize and honor these gifts in ourselves and in others. Let us be in one mind and one accord, and give us the grace to allow each other to individually blossom. And Lord, show us how to see them to complement each other, so that we may grow ever closer to what you need us to be for this parish. As we work through the agenda tonight, we pray that your Spirit may move freely within us, guiding us with the mind of Christ, so that the practicalities of finance, fabrics, and any other concerns underpinned by your will and dealt with in grace, peace, truth, and above all, in love. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let's pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you for that awesome prayer, Pastor Fortune. Approval of minutes. A motion and a second is needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of August 9th, 2021. Ms. Fonseca, motion. Who was the second? Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs, second. Cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Reports, finance, and administrative activities. Item number 2021-0229, Library Board of Control. Ms. Leanne Benedict.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight to give the annual report for the St. Charles Parish Library. Again, my name is Leanne Benedict. I'm the director for the St. Charles Parish Library, where it is our mission to empower our community to explore, learn, create, and connect. As you probably know, we have 6 branches to serve our patrons. On the East Bank, we have branches in Destrehan, St. Rose, and Norco. And on the West Bank, we have branches in Luling, Parity, and Hahnville. All branches are fully open and operational for normal business hours. We currently have 76 team members on our library team, 46 full-timers and 30 are part-time, with 9 of our full-timers being master's degree prepared librarians. As required by state law for library directors, I hold an executive certificate from the State Board of Library Examiners. And we also have 4 of our team members who hold library support staff certification through the American Library Association. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the services offered at our libraries. At our branches, you will find over 192,000 print materials, over 8,300 audiobooks, and more than 9,700 videos that can be checked out. In addition, we have a growing digital collection, which includes over 40,000 ebooks, more than 18,000 downloadable audiobooks, almost 6,600 videos, and 91 digital magazines. The digital magazines are available through our Flipster service, which you can download an app for on your phones or your devices. And for all of our other digital materials, you can find them by downloading the Hoopla app and the Libby app. We also have approximately 85 research databases available where you can find magazine and newspaper articles, test prep, homework help, and live online tutoring, as well as databases covering topics such as health and wellness, auto repair, crafts and hobbies, language learning, newspapers, and more. So, what else is happening at the library? I'm pleased to share with you that the library is now fine-free. This means that there are no more fines for returning materials late. We do still charge fines for lost or damaged materials. This was done in effort to remove barriers for access, especially for children and our low-income patrons. So now patrons can return overdue materials without having to be worried about being assessed a late fee for it. Another new service that we now have is Wi-Fi hotspots that can be checked out by patrons. We currently have 10 hotspots available, and they can be checked out for a 2-week period. Very helpful when you're going on vacation or your internet at home is down. We've also started offering curbside service to our patrons. This is one of those services that started last year because of COVID, and we will continue offering this service for those patrons who don't want to come into the library to pick up their materials. All of our branches have meeting rooms and study rooms available, and we have begun doing some of our in-person programming again. Some of the programming that has returned are our teen nerd nights, book discussion groups, cookbook club, knitting group, chair yoga, and we hope to have our live story times starting up again in September. Our planetarium is also fully open again, although with some limited capacity. Reservations can be made from our website or by calling the West Regional Library. We have free public shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m., and on Saturdays we have a children's matinee at 10 and 11:30, and a regular matinee at 2 and 3:30. We can also accommodate private group showings. These are free to St. Charles Parish residents and organizations, and $2 per person for out-of-parish groups. Patrons can contact Jason Talley at the West Regional Library for more information on booking a private show. Our bookmobile is also back out on the road, delivering materials to senior centers, daycares, and individual homes. We have 2 full-time team members and a part-timer, and the bookmobile typically runs between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Criteria used to select stops is that they must be within St. Charles Parish and eligible for a library card. Priority is given to homebound patrons with physical or medical limitations that prevent them from visiting a local branch, and to daycares and senior centers. We will also visit anyone who lives more than 3 miles from an existing branch, as long as they can be easily integrated into our bookmobile schedule. Patrons who want more information about our bookmobile can contact Claire Cermak at the West Regional Library. Okay. So it wouldn't be an annual report without a quick look at the last year in numbers. But before I share those numbers with you, I just want to mention the impact that COVID-19 had on our services last year. So we had about 10 weeks of normal operation last year before our buildings were closed and staff went to work at home, which started out at 2 weeks and ended up being 7 weeks. Staff then returned to our buildings to begin preparing to reopen. Our bookmobile was able to resume services after being off the road for 9 weeks. Our 2 regionals reopened after being closed for 12 weeks, and our 4 smaller branches were closed for a total of 14 weeks. Once we opened, we were then running on reduced hours for the better part of the year. So that's just to give you an idea of why our numbers, for the most part, are lower, obviously, than previous years. Back up. So as a result, when you look at our numbers, you'll see that most of them are down from previous years. We did add over 22,000 new items to our collection in 2020. We circulated over 161,000 physical materials and almost 38,000 ebooks. Our bookmobile circulated a little over 50,000 items. While our total circulation dropped by about 21% from the previous year, our circulation of ebooks increased by 25%. We, of course, also saw a drop in the use of technology, but we still had over 17,000 patrons come in to use our public computers, and over 13,600 people utilized our free Wi-Fi that's available at all of our branches. This chart shows a comparison of our circulation statistics over the past several years. As you can see, 2019 was a record year for circulation of both our physical materials and ebooks. While we saw a decline in circulation in 2020 of physical materials, we still managed to record another record year for our ebooks, though. I think that's because people were home and they were still looking for library materials. In the last segment on the chart, you'll see it's January to July of 2021, so it's the current to date statistics for this year. We're a little more than halfway through the year, and we've already circulated more than 115,000 physical items and over 18,000 ebooks. I think this is a positive indication that we are seeing patrons returning to the library and of the value of the library services that we provide. So in continuing our look back, we had over 62,000 visitors to the library in 2020, and about 2,900 bookmobile visits were made. To date this year, we're at about 49,000 visits to the branches with a little over 2,000 bookmobile visits. In 2020, we held a total of 372 in-person programs. Those were all held pre-COVID and had about over 5,500 attendees at those. Once COVID hit and we reopened, we went to completely virtual programming and held 409 virtual programs. This was something we'd never done before. The staff jumped in and just figured it out. And we had over 15,000 people participate in those virtual programs. We just finished our summer reading program for this year with 1,846 patrons signing up for it and 1,172 completions, meaning they read and logged at least 360 minutes of reading over the 2-month period. We also held a combination of in-person and virtual programs this summer, and as you can see, they were fairly well attended. We do want to take a moment to thank our Friends of the St. Charles Library group. They sponsor the grand prizes for the summer reading program every year, and we're grateful for their continued support of the library. So what's next? We are in the beginning stages, planning stages towards building a better Hahnville branch, which serves the communities of Hahnville, Taft, and Kelowna. One of the ordinances you will see in your introductions tonight in the supplemental that will come before you at your next meeting, so you'll see me again at your next meeting, is for the purchase of property across the street located at 15090 River Road. It's the property that's next to the Family Dollar. The library hopes to purchase this property and then begin plans to build a brand new Hahnville branch on it. Another new project we are working on is with the St. Charles Parish Public School System to implement e-cards for all public school students in the parish that would give them easy access to all of our digital resources. Beyond that, we will be working towards continuing to expand and grow services to meet the needs of our community and to make necessary improvements at all of our other branches. You can keep up with what's happening at the library through our website as well as through all of our social media pages. We also have a brand new app that if you have the old app, you just need to update it. But if you don't have our app yet, if you go into the App Store on your device and just search for St. Charles Parish Library, you'll find our new app, which we're pleased with. You can also, of course, find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and newly on TikTok. And of course, we have our monthly.
Excuse me, do you need more time?
Nope, I just have one more sentence, one more slide. I'm almost done. This is it.
We'll take a vote on it so you can.
Okay.
You don't have to vote on it? More time? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say thank you to the Parish Council for your support over the past year. We really appreciate the support we get from our constituents and the council. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Leanne, I just wanted to say thank you to you and your staff as an ex officio board member for all that y'all do. And I also want to add a thank you to the board members who, the majority of, if not all of them, are council appointed for volunteering their time and come to the meetings to help things with the library keep going.
Yeah. We have an excellent board, so thank you for your appointees.
Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You had mentioned about the hotspots. Is that popular? Are they being utilized?
They are being utilized. Most of the time, they are almost all checked out, but usually we'll have one or two I've found in, so we're working on promoting them, and if they become more popular, we will buy more.
You talked about the virtual classes or virtual sessions, and that was 15,000 attendees. That's not 15,000 individuals.
That's total, yeah, for all the programs. So that includes if one person attended 5 different programs, they're counted 5 times.
Yeah, we count as 5. And do you track at all, like homeschool students, how they use the library or?
No, we don't have a specific method for tracking homeschool libraries. We do know that a lot of the homeschool groups do use our services.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benedict.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Item number 2021-0230, Parish President's remark. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I will start with a COVID-19 update. Our current positivity rate decreased from 21.2% for the week of August 11th to 20.8% for the week of August 18th. So a little over 1% reduction there. Overall, there's been a total of 8,094 cases in our parish since the beginning of the pandemic, and more than 100 deaths from coronavirus. As always, our thoughts and prayers remain with the families of those who've lost or people who have passed during this pandemic. There are 10 people currently hospitalized in St. Charles Parish, and out of the 191 hospitalizations in Region 3, 31 are on ventilators. For reference, St. Charles Parish has 1 ICU bed open, 4 med-surg beds open, and 2 psychiatric beds open as of today. From August 5th through 11th, 89% of all COVID-19 cases and 80% of all deaths and 91% of all hospitalizations are accounted for by people who are not fully vaccinated throughout the state of Louisiana. Among eligible St. Charles Parish residents, nearly 65% have initiated their vaccination series. I want to just take a second to talk about that. As you're aware, individuals age birth through 12 years old are not allowed under the current CDC guidelines to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. So St. Charles Parish will never reach 100% vaccination rate. So be mindful that that 65% includes those who are not eligible for vaccination as well. If you'd like to be vaccinated, there are 16 places to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Within St. Charles Parish, we ask you, as always, to go to www.vaccines.gov/search. If you enter your zip code, you will receive the closest vaccination sites closest to your address. In addition to vaccinations, if you've been exposed to COVID-19 or are showing symptoms, there are 2 locations throughout St. Charles Parish to get tested: Walgreens in Booty, and the St. Charles Parish Urgent Care at 13100 River Road in Destrehan. That's Plantation, the Plantation Medical View office. Walk-ins are welcome at both sites. Move really quickly to infrastructure updates. Public Works has continued to work throughout the parish to improve drainage and provide maintenance to canals and ditches and roads. River Oaks Drive in Destrehan. As you know, this project's been going on for a long time now, or it seems like a long time, but for several months. Obviously, we're being very mindful to not tear up anybody's personal property while we're back there. And when it rains, we do really need to let it dry out for a couple of days. Luckily, the rain has slacked off somewhat this year. I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood on that one. We'll take it. Obviously, it's either a monsoon or 1,000 degrees outside, so it is what it is. So they're continuing to work on this. They're getting very close to Eve Street where this project will stop. And they're getting very close to houses and other structures. So you can see in a couple of photos there, even the one on the very right, appears to be a water or sewer line right there running through. So they really are taking their time to make sure they aren't damaging any infrastructure in people's yards. Next is the Ormond Golf Course. This is a project that we haven't gotten an update on very recently. It's still continuing on. This is another project that when it rains, it does delay us somewhat because of obviously the sensitive nature of where we're working, and we are not only on a golf course but up against people's backyards. Additionally, we are adding some culverts, what they call Linwood Drive. So they're adding culverts in that area to improve the flow of water. Let's see, Griffin Drive. We're sweeping Griffin Drive in Ama and digging ditches along the 200 block of Milling and Luling. You can see there they have the laser set up to make sure they continuously stay on the correct grade to get the water flowing to the correct location. All right, and let's see, asphalt projects currently, this is obviously a continuing ongoing thing. So we recently had repaired asphalt on the 100 block of Oak Lane. Bay Area Construction completed patches on Bayou Estates Drive and Bayou Gauche as parts of our road program continue. And that's just a couple updates. Again, we remind our residents that the first step in this three-step process is patching. The second step is milling the entire street and then coming back and overlaying the street before it's finally complete. So please know if you see the patching being done that there are 2 more steps to that process. But so far, it looks like the work that Barrier has been doing has been very good. So we look forward to that continuing. Grants update, the state of Louisiana has awarded St. Charles Parish more than $3 million from the state's budget to fund some of our projects, including renovations to government buildings, various drainage and infrastructure improvement projects, and more. The grants department is also awaiting approval for an additional $6.7 million in capital outlay funds for 5 other parish projects. So those are projects that are with the capital outlay that obviously have to move through that P5, P1 process, as you all know. So we'll continue to make sure we have all of that updated and keep trying to get as much of our residents' state tax dollars back into St. Charles Parish as we can. Parks and Rec / RSVP. We recently started pickleball at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pickleball is available in addition to the volleyball courts being set up. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America right now. It's a combination between tennis, badminton, and ping pong. So it's essentially, I call it tennis with a smaller net on a badminton-sized court. A lot of our seniors are into pickleball, and they've been playing outside. Obviously, they're affected by the heat and the rain, so we figured why not give them an indoor option to get out of the heat, and it's slowly building. We're glad to see that going on. Additionally, for the seniors, we are bringing back our beanbag baseball for the RSVP volunteers. And this is a crowd favorite that will take place in our community center. And that starts September 1st at 9 a.m. If you've ever seen seniors really into something, it's beanbag baseball. So very competitive. Really quickly, job openings. Currently, we have a carpenter, meter reader, distribution maintenance, meter reader / distribution maintenance. We have an equipment operator 1 and then an equipment operator 3. If you or anyone you know who wants to apply, please visit our website, www.stcharlesparish.gov, and click employment. We're also continuing our search for laborers with the Public Works Department. Those interested should call the personnel office at 985-783-5000 for more information regarding a job opportunity as a laborer. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing. Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, 6 p.m. Council Chambers, Courthouse in Hornville. Items number 2021-0223, 2021-0224, 2021-0224, 2021-0225, 2021-0232, 2021-0233. Ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. Items number 2021-0212, an ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of a contract with Pentel Contracting Services LLC for West Bank A-Plant filter upgrade. Project number WWKS 97 in the amount of $394,304. Mr. Gregory Gordon.
Good evening, members of the council. Parish President Jewell. So the West Bank A filter upgrade includes the removal and replacement of the existing underdrain filtration system and the filter media, coring walls and installing piping for the air scour system, removal and replacement of the existing leaded joints and piping, removal and replacement of electrically actuated valves, cleaning and repainting of the existing ductile iron piping. Again, the contract is for $394,304. The contract duration is for 120 days based upon the notice to proceed date. Basically, we are completely rebuilding that whole A-plant filter on the West Bank.
Okay. File number
questions?
2021-0112 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2021-0212. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2021-0213, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineering, LLC, to perform engineering services for Des Allemands Bulkhead, project number P210601. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. This is a project that's been talked about since before I came into office. This is to build a bulkhead along Bayou des Allemands. Over the past 18 months, we've seen a lot of erosion along the existing bulkhead, which was an old wooden bulkhead that was built in the late 50s, early 60s by the Lafourche Basin Levee District. And we've had to go in on several occasions to add concrete or clay or new boards in there to prevent some really dangerous conditions along the bayou. So this is a engineering agreement to establish a contract with All South to build a bulkhead that would try to thread the needle between erosion control and some extra flood protection. Our goal is to not have to put out the HESCO baskets, which we all know is a very labor-intensive, expensive process for the parish, and also causes a lot of inconveniences for our residents who live along the bayou down in Des Allemands. And with that, I'll turn over to Miles for anything extra he wants to add for details.
Yes, thank you, President Jewell. I would also say that this also includes some infrastructure at the boat launches to put in some stop logs so that we don't have to spend a lot of time sandbagging those areas every time the water comes up. We would be able to leave them open during the time it's down and then come in and just put these logs in and lock them into place, and that would keep the water from coming in those areas. We also plan to look at other options for people that have their boats moored there and have a dock. There will be access provided to them in one way or another, which we will work out with the people as we go through the project.
File number 2021-0213 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address. For the record, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Romalie Broussard, and I live at 277 Up the Bayou Road in Des Allemands. My concern is, and I appreciate the wanting to save the erosion. My concern is I'm emotional. I just moved there in February, finally got my occupancy because I had to move there from a divorce with my 2 children. And I remodeled it and we were able to move in. And then hearing this, it just concerns me as to how me and my children will access our home now because it is on the water side. I just would like, there's rumors and, the community, people say things and stuff. So addressing the individuals that live there would be wonderful to know exactly how this will be done and how I'll be able to access my home.
If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak?
My name is Claire Landry. I live at 121 Bayou Road, which is between the railroad tracks and Highway 631. I own that house, and I own 139 Bayou Road, which totals about 185 feet of waterfront property in Des Allemands. Des Allemands Bayou is unique. It is the only waterway in St. Charles Parish that I know of that people actually own the property and can see the water and enjoy life, and people come out there from all over to fish and walk around and see. My concern is the height of this. The elderly people in the community have always told us, the water never really came out the bayou like this prediction. And personally, I would rather HESCO baskets than a 5 or 6 foot wall. I would rather have 2 years of HESCO baskets and maybe skip a year, because it's only 6 months of our lives with HESCO baskets, even though we don't like them, we don't like the sand, but I'd rather that than have a wall. Now, erosion, we do need erosion. My neighbor, his property is completely eroded because they put cement there. So that needs to be addressed, but it doesn't have to be addressed at the height where it's going to be, I'm 5 foot tall, where I'm going to stand there and it's going to be like this. Right now, I can sit in my yard, I could see the boats go by. I understand 3 or 4 feet maybe, but 5 or 6 feet is entirely just too high. I would like to invite you all to come ride out there and see why it's listed as a scenic waterway, because you can ride that 1 mile or however long it is, and you can see the water. The road down the bayou is higher, so they're going to have a shorter wall if it's 5 or 6 foot. As you go and the road does this, some people's going to, it's just not going to, it's going to block the view, and we just really don't want that. We appreciate that we do need erosion protection. We need that. We need something done. It wasn't kept up. Way before this council, it was never kept up. So it needs to be taken care of. But I just wanted to say that we think it's, a little too high. So we would like to have a town hall, which we had heard rumors about, to even discuss the height of this wall. The HESCO baskets are like about 4 feet tall, I think. And they come to about right here on me, maybe right here. But, measuring like just what I think it would be, that's about how high that wall would be. And the water has never even touched the back of the HESCO baskets in all the years we put them out there. The rainwater, and where it's eroded maybe, but where there's land that's not eroded, the water is not really coming out over the levees that are already there. So if we just beef all that up, fix that up, and that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. 3 minutes.
Billy Butcher, 615 down the Bayou Road. Okay.
You jumped in front of me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understand we need some erosion protection, and I'm all for that. Because sooner or later it's going to undermine the road, and the road's going to start to sink or collapse, or even our property. But I think as property owners, we should have a say-so in what's put in front of our house. And, 6 foot, like they're saying, it's way too tall. It's not needed. Never seen the water come up even over the top thing there where it hit the top of the levee. So I'd like to know from where are you going to measure from? Where are we taking that first measurement to determine the height? A while back, we hired a guy, Dr. Saheda. He was supposed to do some work for us to let us know about tidal surge and different stuff for storms. I don't know if we ever got a report. I never saw it. So, I don't know if y'all did. But I think Louis Martinez, our guy, did a great job. You know, he very informative, did some good work. But I also would like to ask one other question. Are we still going to put a floodgate across Mud Lake? Is that still in the works? Okay, so if we had a floodgate to stop tidal surge, then you don't really need to come up that high. You know, I was told we would have a town hall meeting. That never happened. So, did somebody drop the ball? Or was I just fed a line? Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Anyone else would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Nelda Woodruff, 615 down to Bayou Road. And we do have an erosion problem, and something needs to be addressed right away because we're going to lose the road in front of my house. And we don't need it any higher. We really don't. But we do need it down below. The erosion, you can see how the water has, the dirt's just going right underneath the bulkhead that we have left, which was supposed to have been upgraded by the parish since the 60s. Okay, but it hasn't. So we do need something. And I personally don't want to go any higher. It is a beautiful bayou and we enjoy it. And we don't want to lose that, but we do need to protect our road to get to our houses, or we're going to lose it. So I was wondering if we had any options, if there was any other options, no offense. But as to, if you ride around Louisiana, you see a lot of beautiful waterways with some nice bulkheads and areas with even little grass where you can sit. And I mean, you see some really pretty bayous in Louisiana. And we don't want to lose ours. We don't want to lose what we have. My great-grandfather purchased that property, so that was probably in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's been in my family ever since. And I own it now, and I plan to pass it down to my children. I want them to enjoy it. So I just want to see some options that we have. We understand, it needs to be done, and none of us on the bayou like what's done across the bayou. I'm sorry, but it's really ugly. And it didn't even do them any good. The people on the very end, when the water does come up and it rains a lot, they won't even drain. They won't even drain. And if you go right over there and look at it, I mean, really, right across the bayou, and look at that bulkhead. It's awful. And I just think we just could, that area going down, and then with the new boat launch, with the area for picnic tables, and, to really see the beauty that, I don't know if you've ever even gone out in a boat to go down to Lake Salvador or Lafitte. I mean, you can go to Grand Isle, you can go out in the Gulf, right there, and go. Up the bayou, there's a lot of marsh and stuff, and it's beautiful. You can go to Lake Buff, and the water comes through to Zalman's, and then it feeds out into all these fields. Okay, so eventually, it'll come back down, but it's never going to go over the bulkhead in front of my house, is my opinion. So I hope you consider some good options, and let's make a really good, impression to the rest of the parish that thinks we're just a little fisherman's town. Might be nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please state your name and address.
My name is Baron Trigg. I live at 170 up the Bayou Road. We live north of Old Highway 90. We don't have a bulkhead in front of our house. And we could take care of our own erosion, but we don't really have an erosion problem. I'd much prefer waiting for this lock rather than have a wall in front of my house. We sit on our front porch and look out at the water. HESCO baskets, whenever they put those, we can see over them and they leave gaps in them, but we don't want a wall. I don't know who's asking for it. Years ago, they tried to put a bulkhead and it was stopped. The people up the bayou don't want the wall. I can speak for myself. I can't speak for everyone, but I'm definitely not in favor of it. And I think it's a waste of money, especially if this floodgate comes across my lake. And like I said, we can take care of the erosion problem in front of our house. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, council members and parish president. Paul Hogan, 222 down the Bayou Road, the Zalmans. The existing bulkhead, or what is left of it, was paid for and installed by the Lafourche Basin Levee District in the 60s. And with the police jury, now the St. Charles Parish government, being responsible for the bulkhead and its upkeep forever. As councilman and then councilman at large, the bulkhead was an ongoing maintenance issue as a result of the police jury and then the parish not maintaining the bulkhead. There are some locations where it no longer exists. During my time on the council, I did not make a push for the reconstruction of the bulkhead, only for makeshift repairs. The reason being is a new bulkhead, when built, needs to serve two purposes, one being a bulkhead and the other being for flood protection. As you're aware, the Upper Barataria Risk Reduction Project is proposed to have a floodgate in Bayou des Allemands downstream of the end of the bulkhead. If the floodgate is not constructed, then the bulkhead needs to be constructed such that it serves as a core certifiable flood protection structure to the height needed to provide affordable flood insurance to those living in the Sunset Drainage District. If the floodgate is constructed, then the bulkhead only needs to be built to the height that is needed to prevent the water from Lake des Allemands from overtopping the bulkhead when the floodgate is closed and a storm and the tidal surge stacks up against the floodgate and it's not able to be opened until the water level equals the other side. When the south wind has stacked the water up against the floodgate, it will also push water in Lake des Allemands on the north side of the lake. When the winds shift, then the water is blown back to the south side of the lake, and if the gate cannot be opened, then the bulkhead needs to be a sufficient height to hold back the water that will stack up against the backside of the floodgate. So until it is known for sure whether the floodgate will be constructed, it's premature to design and construct the bulkhead since we do not know what height will be needed for flood protection. I would hate to see us spend millions on a bulkhead now just for the parish to have to come back later and build something else higher for flood protection. I would ask that this be postponed indefinitely until such time that the parish knows for sure if a floodgate will or will not be constructed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please state your name and address.
My name is Rochelle Trigg. I live at 170 up the Bayou Road in des Allemands. And basically, I agree with everybody else, what Paul said. I'm wondering about this, the floodgate that's supposed to be down in Mud Lake. Sounds like, I have a friend that I've talked to about that's in the Corps of Engineers, and he agrees that would make a flood wall unnecessary. Not the erosion part, but flood height. And I don't know a whole lot, but I'm sure for federal funding, you have to have certain heights and all that. I'm also concerned, we have a small little town. It's not very prestigious, but what we do have, which I would say would be the best aspect of our whole town, is that we have a scenic waterway. And yes, I do live along the bayou in des Allemands, and sorry, it's a little emotional for me, but looking forward to retirement with my husband and sitting on the front porch and we can see the bayou, and that's like my sanity. But so when the HESCO baskets are there, no, we can't see the bayou other than the little crack that's left in there. You can't see it unless you go stand up and look over the HESCO baskets, but you can't see it. Maybe in certain areas you could see a piece of water, off in the distance. So it definitely would affect the scenic view that we have. And like I said, I do feel like that's part of the beauty of our town that would just be taken away, and it's sad. But also with the taxpayer funding stuff, I'm not for spending money that would be unnecessary. So if the lock takes care of stuff, and I know that's not a done deal, my understanding was in October there would be some decisions made on that, but I'm not as up to date on that as I should be. And that's, I guess, mostly it. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I want to address a couple of things that were said by the residents. I've said from the very beginning, I've had several conversations with some of the folks who've come here, and within the 18 months that I've been parish president, I was able to talk to a lot of residents about this project. From the very beginning, I said once we had an engineer in place that we would hold a town hall meeting to discuss all the residents' concerns. We can do that as soon as we get we can have a town hall meeting, but when we have the engineer on contract, they can help us determine what is the best option. And I truly believe that we can thread the needle, like I said in the beginning, between flood protection and erosion control. To the lady who spoke about her access to her home, at no point in time would we ever eliminate the access to anybody's home. That's number one. So I want you to rest assured that that is not going to happen. We set a baseline of 6 feet to establish our contract. Will the wall be 6 feet, or the bulkhead be 6 feet? We don't know. We have to establish that after a survey or anything else. Mr. Woodruff, you said, you don't know how tall the piling is. Did we take a measurement? The piling in front of your house is 6 feet. That is 6 feet. Now, does that work for where Miss Claire Landry lives? It may not work. And there may be a system that we could use. I even spoke to Ms. Fonseca about this a while back, where stop logs could be added in the areas where we don't reach 6 feet. And we can build that up and not have to put those HESCO baskets out. But again, before we would do anything, before we would even move forward with any type of drawings or designs, we would meet with the residents, with the engineer and the parish and council there to establish everybody's thoughts, concerns, and even do a site visit with the residents so that we could see. Let's talk about the floodgate. A lot of members of this council just attended a groundbreaking for a levee project in St. John Parish that's going to protect Muntz. That project's been around since Hurricane Betsy. So, am I willing to? I'm not willing to hedge my bets that we can wait on the Corps of Engineers to come around and say, hey, yeah, we're going to give the Upper Barataria Risk Reduction System a New Start designation, and let's build this wall. Now we're going to keep pushing for the wall. In fact, we were able to, through the help of the council and my administration, we're able to get the $2 million from the state of Louisiana needed to finish the engineering of that bulkhead. That floodgate across Mud Lake. That should be a shovel-ready project in 2022. First or second quarter 2022, that project should be shovel-ready. But at the end of the day, you have to get it funded, and it's an $80 million bulkhead. So, if you get that bulkhead or you get that floodgate put in, you're asking, well, we don't need a wall or any type of bulkhead in Zalman's because we're going to have a gate. But we just saw a scenario where we had probably a 200 or 300 year rain event in Baton Rouge with a south wind. And this May, we saw water stacking up. Did it come over? No, but we were flood fighting the entire weekend. And, I've looked at plenty of computer models that show that the flooding risk is very real for the people in Zalman's. And I know we have a lot of people down there who say they've never seen it flood, it's never gotten over. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. If you were hit the right way, which thank God we have not been hit the right way by a hurricane, The flooding is real. In fact, flooding all the way into Old Luling, all the way up to River Road is quite possible in St. Charles Parish. And I think that we sometimes we feel like we're away from the coast a little bit, and that our flooding risk isn't as real, at least our storm surge flooding risk isn't as real as it is, but it is absolutely real, which is why this council and the councils before and the parish presidents before have pushed so hard to have, levees built, both the East Bank and the West Bank. Now remember, everybody else along Lake Louisiana, the coast of Louisiana, they're building levees. They're building them in Lafourche, they're building them in Terrebonne, they're building them out toward Cameron. That water has to go somewhere, and it's going to find its entrance. And that small entrance in Bayou des Allemands, it's going to push up into Lake des Allemands and all the way up in that upper Barataria Reservoir. So, I think that's why we're seeing higher water coming through there. Again, I don't want to cut anybody's view off to the bayou. I know we have something very special down in the Zalmans. We are trying to thread the needle and trying to get some extra flood protection while also maintaining people's view of the bayou. If we can't achieve that, I don't want to push forward with it. But I think the worst thing we can do is do nothing. So those are my 2 cents about it.
Mr. Dufresne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, President Jewell, for addressing those concerns. And Miles, can I get you to explain how y'all came up with the 6, which
Sure.
I think everybody went off of, and I think that's
Okay,
a huge concern.
So first of all, let me say that the 6 is not a 6-foot wall. It is elevation 6. And that's a big differential there. If you stand on the ground, you're probably at +2, +3 in elevation. So you would only be going up a little bit. +6 is an elevation. And what we did was, and this is down the bayou, not up the bayou, we would do the same thing and up the bayou if we ever designed the bulkhead in that area. But we went and shot the top of the piles that are already existing along the levee, that wooden bulkhead that is deteriorated and falling into the bayou. And we shot those tops. Those all were actually a little above 6. And we decided that would be the maximum level we would go with the wall. And in picking that number, about that 9 criteria when you have you're setting your geotechnical fee, and they're looking at their numbers, and it sets your engineering fee and how they set their design numbers. So we can have a conversation about that level and come down from that if it's feasible, but it's not going to go any higher than that. And that's what we set was the maximum number.
Thank you. Do we have an engineer from All South here?
We do.
Can you just give us a brief, a walkthrough of exactly if this gets passed tonight, how you start? What are we looking at first? Surveying. What are we going, and how we would move forward?
We would do the survey first and get the geotechnical started, and then with the administration, we'd do the town hall and go through the different scenarios on where it looks, where the wall is now, where the proposed low spots are, come up with the elevations for them, and then sit down with the administration, and then go to a public meeting and talk to the residents and show them this is where the sheet pile looks like it's going to go.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
state your name and
I'm sorry.
address.
Tim Benor with All South Consulting Engineers.
Okay. So Tim, so when we have this, when we sit down with them, is there any chance we could say, okay, you have a couple different drawings, or we just set in stone of this is the type of bulkhead we're going to put up? I know we're going to use sheet pile because that's the most efficient way to do it. You can't use wood. We're wasting time with that. But will you have a couple different conceptual drawings where we can show people and they can choose from?
There'll be some renderings, and also there's going to obviously be some low spots where we're going to show where right now it's insufficient, where we will have to raise it. But, I mean, all that's determined once we get the survey. I mean, for me to speak on it right now, what the final product's going to look like is a bit premature. But it's very common to have public hearing and go through on these types of projects and get the residents involved and try and do the best thing for the parish.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, I've gone to school with some of you. Councilman Dufresne and I worked with some of you, and also helped some of you as a member of this council. And the engineer's correct, Mr. Dufresne and Mr. Bingham. It wouldn't make sense to have a town hall right now because we really don't have the data or information to share with you. And we wouldn't want to do something that wouldn't be accurate to share with you. So that's what this does for us tonight, is it gives us the opportunity to pull all of that information together, and then we can commit to you tonight to having that town hall that Parish President Jewell mentioned. We've done that in other places. We did it with the Bayou Gosh residents on the actual flood protection levy that we're pushing hard for. And yes, we're pushing very hard for that, but those sometimes take many, many years, and we've come a long way. But, we're still waiting on chief's approval. Then it would have to go through congressional approval of the project. And then we could wait several years before we actually have congressional approval for the funding of it. So there's no guarantee there. And so I would ask you all to please just give this a chance. Let us work it through the process like we have done on so many other things already since I've been on this council and before when I worked with the administration. And I think that the outcome, when you're able to share your input and the engineer is able to tweak, the plans, that it will be, your fears will be put to rest. So please don't listen to the rumors. You can call myself, Councilwoman Billings, Parish President, his staff, and also your own council member, Mr. Dufresne. So we're there for that. Call us, ask us, we'll get the information. But I would ask, again, that you all just give this process a chance, because we cannot guarantee that we're going to get that federal flood protection. We're going to keep working towards it. But one of the other things I wanted to point out is the advantage that we have to being able to engineer projects ahead of time is that it gives us an advantage when we look for funding for those projects, state and federal. So that's what this also does for us. Instead of having to use 100% St. Charles Parish tax dollars to pay for it, it gives us a shot at state and federal funds. So that's just my ask to you all, is just give it a chance. And my commitment, and I'm sure Councilman Dufresne and Billings and the administration tonight, is that we will have a town hall meeting at the right time when we have all of the data and information pulled together. Thank you.
Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Woodford, can you come back up real quick, please? What did I say? I've always been good with names. So I jotted down several of your concerns. Have they been addressed? Are you satisfied with what you've heard?
Yeah, a lot of stuff's been addressed. I'm satisfied that, we will have a meeting.
Right.
It was one of the things that we have a 40 by 40 dock in front of the house. And we have a lot of get-togethers there, a lot of family functions. And, if you put a 6-foot wall there, which is what we thought we were going to have there.
Right.
That's why I want to know where we were measuring from and, what was topped out at. So my concerns have been addressed.
Okay. Well, good. I obviously took the notes that you were concerned about. I wanted to address them again, and thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Billings.
Hi, Miles. I have a question for you.
Sure.
I just want to reiterate to everyone here that we're not actually voting for anything other than hiring an engineering firm tonight to present the design to us. So there's going to be several votes in the future, correct?
That is correct.
Right, okay. That's what I just wanted people to understand. That
Yeah, and if I may, I'd like to answer the gentleman's about his boat, his dock and so forth. That's one of those areas where we will talk to the actual resident where they have a dock. There are some actually very nice docks down there, and that we will work with them to make sure that they have access to that dock. There are a couple different ways we can do that, and that they can continue to enjoy their dock and their boat launch and, and everything in the bayou. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham.
Ms. Perrier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I'm going to piggyback on what Ms. Billings just said. So this is the design phase. There will be several other layers of protection for the residents to speak out. So hopefully, I feel confident everybody will hold up to their word and have a town hall once the survey is done. But before construction begins, that will have to come back to the council for a vote. The ordinance itself will have to be approved through the council to actually begin construction. So there are a couple other measures, and I know we've got 2 former councilmen in the audience. They absolutely know the process, but just for some of the others that look very concerned, and I understand your concern because we've built levees and kind of gone through the same thing in the time that I've been here when it comes to your personal property. It's a touchy thing, but there's a fine line between protection and quality of life. And I would hope that this administration is going to be sensitive to that. So I read the contract for the actual scope of the project. It doesn't speak to being built to core specs. Are we going to build to, are we trying to build to core specs?
I don't think it's a part of any type of core project, so there would be no need to do that, but it would be a 50-year, I believe we expect a 50-year sheet pile. So, but.
And so we do take into consideration the fact that, you know, the Mud Lake floodgate should happen, and that's what we feel like we need here.
Yeah,
We feel
and
like
look, there's
we
a.
need 50-year structure.
Yes, Councilwoman, there's a couple of, they're still doing, in fact, right now, BKI is doing the modeling on all the scenarios with the gate open, the gate closed, whether they're going to need, I've even heard talk of a 6,000 cubic feet per second pump station being built on the side of this gate to be able to pump out this, basin. So, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff flying around. You know, the core, there is some core modeling. BKI is doing some modeling to the core standards. We should have that in the near future. They're in the process of doing that. And I can work with BKI to get that to All South. Additionally, I believe Shred Kirkendall in the previous administration had did some tide monitoring. Tim, do you know if it was tide monitoring on that?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So All South is in possession of the work, the preliminary work that was done, kind of in the stage 0 process of this to see high tide, low tide. So that information is with them.
So that's, and that 6-foot number that's in there can change, and we can have the fluidity to take into consideration some of the residents' concerns because it's not to any standard, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We've budgeted this, correct?
It should be in this year's budget coming to the council. We have $3 million in our GOMESA funding.
Okay,
We did
that's
plan to
what's
use that, and I will be looking before the end of the year to come back to the council on bonding out the rest of the GOMESA dollars as we get closer to our next payment. We're
Okay.
being told by Wells Fargo that we should be looking at
I
doing that.
only asked because this is a $360,000 fee, and I know you mentioned that you'd like to have an engineer before town hall, and I know Ms. Fonseca mentioned it'd be nice to have an engineer before town hall, but we don't have to. We've had many, many town halls in this parish without an engineer hired. That engineer comes as a good faith, they present what they have, and then based on the residents' feedback, you hire or you don't hire, basically. So you may not need that engineer if the residents have certain type of feedback. So I don't know that that's always necessary to have. I do understand your angle for sure, but I do hope the residents speak up. I'll say that it's a little bit troubling that 2 former councilmen in this district were here tonight and not really in favor 100%. And I mean, I will say Mr. Hogan was one for every flood protection project we could ever build in his district for sure. And Mr. Woodruff as well, but, you know, Paul really pushed hard for these types of things, and that the fact that he didn't ever do this, just a little concerning. So, you know, I don't know if this is putting the cart before the horse, but at least we have a couple of other opportunities to decide if we do really want to do this. But again, flood insurance is important, flood protection is important. This is safe enough for me to support tonight, I guess.
Please cast your votes for file number 2021-0213. And that passes unanimously. File number 2021-0214, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Volkert, Inc. to perform engineering services for Evangeline Road and CN Railroad Box Culvert, project number P210701. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project, the Evangeline Road and CN Railroad Box Culvert, is being done for $187,005.84. The existing culverts crossing under Evangeline Road on both the north and south side of the CN Railroad have been determined to be undersized by the Mont's Master Drainage Plan. This project will provide plans and specifications for the replacement of these culverts with new box culverts. The goal of the project is improve drainage from the west side of Evangeline Road to the east side and facilitate better drainage in the Muntz area, and they will also feed the new Muntz pump stations that you all voted on previously. The project was originally slated to be done with in-house forces, but due to the proximity to the railroad and issues with the overhead power lines, the parish has decided to have the project completed by an outside engineering firm. The Public Works Department therefore recommends approval of this ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of a professional service agreement with Volkert, Inc. for the Evangeline Road and CN Railroad Box Culvert project. Thank you.
File number 2021-0214 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just an add-on to Mr. Bingham's statement, we do have right around $2 million in a line item from the, if you recall, the compressor station that went in from Entergy in Muntz. They did give $2 million for the Muntz area for drainage improvements. I just wanted to let you know that we had money there for this project.
Please cast your votes for file number 2021-0214. And that passes unanimously. File number 2021-0220, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with CSRS, Inc. to perform professional services and consulting services for Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway Extension, project number P210706. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project is something that the parish administration has been working on. St. Charles Parish desires to support the effort to extend the Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway. The extension of the roadway to LA 3127 will provide a needed secondary access for the existing businesses, schools, and government agencies located along the parkway. The extension will also better support development in this area of new businesses and industry. Funding for this project, which will cost $281,500, is coming out of a $750,000 grant received from the State Capital Outlay Program. The first step in this process for the roadway is to perform a Stage 0 study. The study will provide a feasible alternative for the 12,000-foot extension of Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway to LA 3127. It will also document the potential impacts and provide a footprint of the project. The study includes describing the existing facility, providing technical data such as existing traffic counts, physical conditions, etc., describing the proposed improvements and providing basic technical analysis. A design report will be generated which will document any design guidelines, design decisions, design exceptions if necessary, recommendation from other entities, and other criteria taken into consideration for the development of the preferred alternative. Basic single-line sketches of all potential alternatives Reviewed will be provided on an aerial map with a full geometric layout of the proposed alternative being shown. The consultant will also research potential environmental constraints or issues that could influence the project's feasibility, timing, or cost. This could include community impacts due to the project and potential mitigation costs. Field investigations will be conducted at a stage 0 level. The results of the environmental investigation will be documented in the LDOTD environmental checklist. The consultant will be responsible for doing any survey work required for the project. The Public Works Department recommends approval of this ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of a professional service agreement with CSRS for the Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway project. Thank you.
Thank you. File number 2021-0220 is now open for public hearing. If there is anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just want to make one correction to Miles's statement. The money was not capital outlay money. It was from State Economic Development Fund. And I do want to thank Representative Greg Miller and Senator Gary Smith, as well as Representative Randall Gaines, who worked hard to get us that money for this, the start of this project.
Ms. Perrier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. This is specifically to evaluate the extension of 3127 and nothing else, right?
It is a stage 0, and that evaluates the alignments that could go to 3127.
What does that mean?
The alignment or
I mean, I know what the word alignment means. What do you mean by that?
Well, this
Extension would go to 3127, correct?
that's correct. It would go to 3127.
Okay.
But normally when you have a big project like this, and I've done plenty of them when I was doing DOTD work, you do a stage 0, which evaluates all the different things that could happen along a route. And I'll give an example. I was doing a project up in the northern part of the state, and we were doing a stage 0, which can also be called a line and grade study. And one of our team members who did cultural resources found a Civil War grave site along one of the routes, which immediately meant that we would not go through that way. Okay. Those are the sort of things that you can find when you do a stage 0. So it's important to do this step and come up with an alignment that avoids a lot of that type of thing.
But the alignment that we have in our narrative for the grant maybe said 3127? The connection to 3127?
Yes.
No other connection is where I'm going with this?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just be to 3127.
It may be a loop around to get to 3127 or something other than that, but it's 3127 connection.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's really important that we start this project about getting an additional outlet from the buildings and the people that frequent those buildings in that area to have to be able to cross the railroad track. I just think it's time that we provide another outlet, and this is the first step. So I appreciate you taking this forward. Thank you.
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, what Mr. Bingham was talking about is the typical environmental review that every project goes through. It doesn't change the scope. It just may change that they meander this way rather than, yeah. Just wanted to make sure everyone understood. Thank you.
Please cast your votes for file number 2021-0220. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2021-0221, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with C.H. Fenstermaker and Associates, Inc. to perform engineering services for Davis Plantation subdivision drainage analysis, project number P210703. This has been a request from administration to postpone indefinitely, file number 2021-0221. The public hearing is now open for file number 2021-0221. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. State your name and address. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? A motion and a second is needed to postpone indefinitely. File number 2021-0221. Mr. Fisher motioned and Ms. Perrier second. Please cast your votes to postpone indefinitely. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2021-0222, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Duplantis Design Group, DDG, to perform engineering services for the Des Allemands boat launch, project number P210705. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. St. Charles Parish received a donation of 110 acres in Des Allemands from Chevron for a park and boat launch. The parish desires to contract with Duplantis Design Group for the design of the boat launch, access road, and other support facilities, which include a gazebo, restrooms, and park entrance. The project will include preparing a site investigation report detailing the specific information necessary for planning the project and defining the scope of work required to complete the project. After the site investigation report is complete, the consultant will prepare conceptual site plans showing the general location of all buildings, parking, buffers, access drives, and/or detention facilities proposed for the site. Following the acceptance of the conceptual plan, the consultant will prepare the plans and specifications for the design of the boat launch, the access road, and the supporting facilities. During this process, the consultant will also be responsible for identifying and obtaining all permits, wetlands approvals, and any wetland mitigation. During this process, the consultant will attend all public meetings, which includes meetings with the parish council and meetings with the public to present the plans for the project and receive citizen input. A stormwater pollution prevention plan will be prepared in accordance with the governing general permit for the construction. The Public Works Department therefore recommends approval of this ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of a professional service agreement with Duplantis Design Group for the Des Allemands boat launch project. Thank you.
File number 2021-0222 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Walter Pillier, 115 Ducayette Drive in Destrehan. I've followed this boat launch thing through for a few years. I was actually a person who attended most of the meetings of the boat launch committee. It's been a few months, April, since Chevron donated to this parish the land to do this. Fantastic site it is. I am 100% in favor of that. I'm in favor of the design. It seemed like a lot of money to me. However, there's a full boat of things that are being done, as Mr. Bingham has enumerated here. But I have a question. I wanted to make sure, is the design, as we read here in these documents, sufficient enough to go out to bid for the project, or will it require additional engineering to do so? I read something in here. It says the fees for preparation of on-site plans do not include entitlement of these plans. These fees are solely to produce the documents. I don't know what that means, but I do see detail sheets that are covered to support the proposed improvements shown on the site, grading, utility, and erosion control plans. And so being familiar with how engineering documents are prepared, does this get us construction documents? That's all I want to know. Yes?
Yes. Yes, and we have engineers present if y'all have questions.
Other than that, I'm very pleased with the fact that this is now being brought to the council and we could get this thing rolling. Fantastic. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. Once again, Paul Hogan, 222 Down the Bayou Road, the Zalmans. I want to start by thanking Chevron for stepping up to the plate after I had contacted them while serving as councilman at large about possibly donating property following the Wiegand site being unusable due to the future improvements with the Sunset Drainage District levy. Despite the prior administration doing everything in its power at the beginning to sabotage my efforts in securing the donation due to political reasons, it all worked out in the end, and I'm grateful to Chevron, as should be everyone in the parish. What Chevron has given us can be a crown jewel in St. Charles Parish if developed right. It would make all of our surrounding parishes jealous. The boat launch needs to be designed for multiple boat launches at one time and designed such that the site can be used to host professional fishing tournaments and accommodations and adequate parking. With nearly 2,000 feet of bayou frontage, uses in addition to that of a boat launch can be developed, from fishing piers, vacation cabins, bayou-side picnic tables, and so much more. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries should be contacted, if not done so already, to see if they would like to build a facility on the bayou frontage and to see if they can help with participation in the development of the site. With the remainder of the plus 100 acres, the potentials are limitless. If done properly, the site can be a future home of the Catfish Festival, the Alligator Festival, and numerous other events such as outdoor concerts and the like. It could rival Lafreniere Park and City Park right here in our backyard. The site can also be developed with pavilions, gazebos, such as in Bayou Sinette State Park. Walking trails and bike trails could be located on the outer perimeter to serve the health conscious. With the limited potentials of the site, a master plan for its development needs to be adopted as the first step so that the site is developed to maximize its potential development over the years to come. Once a proposed master plan is developed, I would ask that it come before the public at either a council meeting or a town hall meeting to have the people give their input on the proposed changes or their blessing of the design. Only after that should road alignment to the boat launch be chosen that does not hinder, restrict, or limit the development of the property. Before this ordinance is adopted, I would like to see a motion that something to the following be added to the conceptual site plan section of the ordinance. Prior to the beginning of any subsequent scope of work, the conceptual site plans shall be provided to the council for use in a public meeting to seek public input on the conceptual site plan. Following approval of the conceptual site plan by the council, subsequent scope services may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Anyone else would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please state your name and address. 3 minutes.
Billy Woodruff, 615 Down the Bayou Road, the Zalmans. First of all, I'd like to thank the whole council and the new council for working on this. I know y'all put in a lot of time on this, and this is going to could be the crown jewel of St. Charles Parish or even South Louisiana. And I'd like to thank Mr. Hogan, too, because Mr. Hogan's the one that initiated the talks with Chevron and got the ball rolling and, where we could get in and get this property donated to us. And, I'm glad to see that we're thinking of other things, festivals, gazebos, picnic areas, because this could be so much more than just a boat launch. And also, across the street, we own all this ball field area. That's additional area that we could be used, if anything that would come up, additional parking, concert area, whatever. This is a good thing. And I'm glad to see y'all still working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woodruff. Anyone else would care to come up and speak regarding this item? Any council discussion?
Public hearing closed.
I'm sorry. Public hearing is now closed. Council discussion, Mr. Jewell?
Thank you, Chairwoman. We do have some folks from the Plans Design Group here. I was going to have them come up and talk about this. I did want to mention that the route that is designated was designed to minimize impact to wetlands. So I think is important, that the route, I guess anything that we do out there, that we make sure that we're minimizing our impact on the wetlands, the less we would have to mitigate. And again, I want to thank Chevron. I look forward to meeting with the council on this project as well as the public, because I really do think it could be something special for our parish. But right now, this is only for the design of the boat launch and the road. Everything else that comes around it, we can establish a master plan, but we have to pick an alignment and stick with it.
How you doing? Good afternoon. My name is Tommy Buckle. I'm a principal with Duplantis Design Group, 314 East Bayou Road. There was a question that was brought up regarding whether the documents that were going to be produced would be construction documents. Yes, they're going to be construction documents. If there's a section in our proposal that talks about preparation of on-site plans, and there's a section in the proposal that talks about the permitting aspects of those things, and then there's a bidding section, and there's a construction administration and resident inspection. So it's itemized out. The section he was talking about was just under the section that was talking about the preparation of plans. These will be full construction documents that will be taken all the way through. I couldn't agree more with some of the comments that were made, in the sense that since we've been provided an opportunity to look at this, there truly will be a multiple use component to this. As the parish president indicated, the alignments that have already been, or the alignment that we have looked at conceptually, that has been evaluated, et cetera, is really based on the fact that we are avoiding impact to lower lying areas that already burden the site. We're very limited on where we can come in. And obviously there's a large section where we can get to, but we've kind of taken those things into consideration, and then that will all come forward with the development of the conceptual plans. So if you have any further questions, let me know.
Anyone else care to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Oh, that was council. Ms. Perrier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm gonna just echo what former Councilman Woodruff said here. I'm really glad to see this finally come to fruition. We have been through the ringer over the last 10 years regarding boat launches. I've seen many proposals come before us. As Mr. Hogan said, this actually was one that came before the council under his tenure. Sometimes the time is just not right, but it was right this time. I think this is going to be a good thing, and I do know that the public had a lot of input over the last, I guess, 10 years, 9 to 10 years, regarding boat launches. Sometimes that derailed a project, sometimes it didn't, but I think it's a good, transparent way to do things, and, it's here for the residents, so I really do hope that we include the residents as much as we can through the entire process, as well as the council. We represent our constituents, and I think we have a pretty good idea of what they want. I definitely know what they don't want, but I'm glad to see it happen. And thanks to both former councilmen that are here. You contributed largely to this. So,
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also like to thank the former councilman, because I know, there was a lot of work done in the past on this to reach this point. A lot of blood, sweat, and definitely tears. But speaking of the conceptual design, so the council can be clear, because I do think it is a really good idea, since it's such a large piece of property, that we don't piecemeal it without a plan in place. So maybe you can help us understand. I realize that the road and the actual launch were done, as the engineer said, and Mr. Bingham, to avoid the wetlands, but can we look to do a conceptual that we can share and have public input in the future?
Yeah, I think we can certainly work with the engineering team to put something together. We did have a very, very rough, if you recall, at the actual ribbon cutting, active use, passive use areas. But the main thing was establishing that right of way in there. But if we'd like to see, and look, we've talked about, cabins, we've talked about like an RV park and in fact, we've been in touch with the Lieutenant Governor's office on getting funding for some of these things, bird watching, nature trails type of thing. So we will work with the engineers that show some of that passive stuff and the active stuff with the alignment that we have and the boat launch that we propose. I think the main thing that I'm not interested really in doing a whole committee again for this, but we did want to have the engineers meet with all the council members to see what you would all like to see in this, and then talk to the residents about what they would like to see. You know, they've already shown us a different design that does save a lot of money from what was originally kind of proposed, you know, conceptually. But we have to make sure that the residents who are going to be using this every day of the week feel like it's a feasible project, that, you know, they know those waters better certainly than I do, but we got to make sure that they're going to be able to launch. It's going to be a comfortable launch, and that it's not going to be. We want people to be attracted to it and want to come there. So yes.
And great. I'm just going to reiterate why that's so important is that the grants office can take that and go after funding for the different phases of it. So having that from the get-go makes the world of a difference. And also, you know, public input is extremely important. So we'd like to, I'm not talking about a committee meeting. I didn't mean to give that impression. But we do want to give the residents a chance to take a look at it and give us their thoughts. Thank you.
Any more council discussion? That's it. Please cast your vote for file number 2021-0222. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2019-0061, an ordinance to amend Chapter 7, Article 1 of the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances to add regulations to protect adjacent properties from increased runoff when fill is added to any lot of ground by adding 3-7 adjacent lot runoff protection. Mr. Dufresne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this was an ordinance that we picked up on the ad hoc committee, I guess, to try to alleviate future drainage issues for existing homes. We met quite a few times. We have had a lot of input from planning and zoning, public works, outside sources like Mr. Walter. We've had some other engineers and many councilmen sit in. And this is what we drew up, thinking we're going to give people options for different ways to address the drainage. I'm sure everyone gets calls where there's an empty lot, 2 houses on each side. Someone comes to build in, they build to the new flood zone. They're hiding everybody else. Those people immediately call planning and zoning and say, this new house is flooding me out. Beknownst to them, they've probably been draining on that lot from day one. So we had to take a lot of different things into account to try to come up with a solution to this. We worked on it for a few months, and this is kind of what we came up with, which gives people 5 different avenues to be able to address the drainage anytime they put fill in. We also took into account that we want to start this at the beginning. So immediately when a builder starts to develop an area and they start filling a lot, they need to start addressing the issue then before the ball goes too far down the road. I see Earl's not here tonight, but Michael is here, and I'd like to let Michael speak on it because he came up with a lot. He and Earl did a lot of the legwork. And we just kind of agreed and nodded. We also had builders present during this during these meetings, so we tried to make sure we weren't doing things without everybody's input that we thought this would affect the most. And this is what we came up with. And if Michael could probably explain it a lot better than I could.
Thank you, Councilman. Actually, if you all look, this started in early 2019. This has been going on for some time. The ad hoc committee did a tremendous amount of work over a few meetings to put this together. You know, this is a complicated problem that my office deals with. We never have a good answer to public concerns about this because telling them to default to a state law isn't the most customer service friendly answer that we can give. But for a long time it was the truth. So what we developed here is a system that really controls fill and how it relates to drainage and gives a series of options that can really accommodate most lots and most cost structures. So we really kept an eye on things to try and make sure that it wouldn't increase construction costs substantially, and I think the cost benefit to doing this in the long term is a higher quality of neighborhood community, especially as we see redevelopment in several spots in the parish and as we continue to issue permits for elevations of houses. So I think this will help in the long run, and we have already started the legwork administratively, preparing the application updates and the things that I had spoke in the legislative committee meeting about. So we're on track.
File number 2019-0061 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Walter Piliang, 115 Ducayette Drive in Destrehan. Yes, I attended some of the ad hoc meetings, and I have to commend the work I saw done. You're right, it started back in, say, March of 2019. Lots of, discussions. In fact, there was a lot of work by the Planning and Zoning Department. Earl Mathern had some sketches, quite good work. But the fact that it got resurrected, the fact that Mr. Dufresne pushed this very, very hard, which is sometimes the thing you got to do to get it done, but that Mr. Albert, Earl Mathern, Mr. Bingham, and others contributed to this, some engineers in the community. It brought it to fruition, and I got to tell you, it's succinct. I think it's all subject to review by Public Works Department, and you have the option to go to an engineer if you choose to do that. So I can't say that you won't have somebody come in and whine about something, I don't know, but the bottom line is this is good work. It got done, and it's been a long time coming, and I thank you for your approval.
If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Bobby Fauché, 317 River Point Drive in Destrehan. And I really think this is a good idea. I think maybe if we would have had this back in the 90s, earlier, it won't be in the problem we having right now. So I hope y'all support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to come up and speak regarding this item? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Mr. Albert and his staff because y'all were the ones who put the lion's share of the work in on this, and Councilman Dufresne for spearheading this. And as we moved through the process, we saw that the process worked, but also thank the volunteers, Mr. Matt Dolphin, Mr. Randy Noel, Mr. Pile. I hope I don't miss anybody, but anyone who showed up to give their input on this, because that helped the process work, because we certainly all aren't the experts, and those people did share some of their expertise, which was paramount to the success of this being crafted. So that we're very thankful for, and Mr. Jewell and other members of the administration, and our fellow council members who came to the committee meetings, who showed their interest and put in their thoughts on it. So thank you.
Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I want to echo what Holly said. It's awesome, and it just shows what we can do when we come together. We got the residents, we brought the experts in. We got the council members that wanted to do stuff and help out. We got our planning and zoning director. We got our public works director involved. We got our residents that came in. I mean, it just shows what we can do when we sit down and we all get together. I mean, it's, like Mr. Fauché said, it might be a little bit late for River Village, but at least from now on, we have something to protect our residents and also give the standards to our new residents so that when they build, they're not causing hard feelings. So again, I want to say thank you for everybody involved, everybody to put forth the effort. So again.
Ms. Perrier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I saw this problem some time ago, and I will say really good job to you, Mr. Dufresne, on resurrecting and pushing this forward. You know, the problem that stuck out to me when we first brought this up was the current structures with new structures next to them. So like Mimosa Park is probably my best example. It was built 60s, 70s, 80s, and then early, maybe 2-3 years ago, houses were being built next to it, and, you know, yada, yada. Y'all heard it all. Y'all had all the committees. So I guess my question is, I know you mentioned you wanted to start right away for new development, but what about existing, like new existing structures? Are we backdating this any way, shape, or form, or is this only from today forward? Is there any other way to do that? Because, you know, civil matter is a hard thing for somebody to swallow who might live in a $150,000, $200,000 house.
Yeah, and this is a real change in terms of process and the development community. We set the date of October 1st, so any applications turned in at that point would be the ones affected by it.
So everything moving forward.
After October 1st, yes.
Right. Okay. I know, because some really are they're still struggling, but, you know, what's fair is fair. Yeah. Yeah, same. Okay, well, good job on this, all of you that really played a part in the last couple of months.
Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2019-0061. And that passes unanimously. Deviation. Planning and Zoning Director Michael Abbott has requested the council deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up file number 2021-0231. In addition, Legal Director Corey Oob has requested the council deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up file number 2021-0234. The proposed resolutions have been emailed to all council members and are placed at your seats. A motion and a second is needed to deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up the two files. File number 2021-0231, a resolution in support of the Planning and Zoning Commission's approval of 2021-4-SPU for a barroom in an M1 zoning district, lot 16, Dufresne Business Park, 15 Dufresne Loop, Luling, as requested by Brandon and June Zerain, as well as file number 2021-0234, a resolution supporting the St. Charles Parish Public Defender's Office in executing an agreement with the Board of Trustees of the Parochial Employees Retirement System to secure coverage for the eligible officers and employees of the St. Charles Parish Public Defender's Office, matters not on the agenda. Motion by, no motion? I have a motion by Ms. Perrier and a second by Mr. Fisher to deviate from the regular order of the agenda and to take up file number 2021-0231 and 2021-0234. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak on the deviations? Please do so now. This is just for the deviation. Right. Seeing none, public comment on the deviations are closed. Any council discussion? Please cast your votes on the deviations only. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2021-0231, a resolution in support of the Planning and Zoning Commission's approval of 2021-4-SPU for a barroom in an M1 zoning district, Lot 16, Dufresne Business Park, 15 Dufresne Loop, Luling, as requested by Brandon and June Zerang. File number 2021-0231 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Debbie Dufresne Vial, representing Jackie B. Investments LLC, the owner of the site where the special permit use is being requested. M1 is the zoning district that was and still is, as I recall, required for business park development. This park was developed in the early 1990s. The building was completed in 1994 and has been a reception hall where there has been the sale and consumption of alcohol for the last 30 years. So I would ask for your support in concurring with the Planning and Zoning Department and the Commission on approving this special permit use. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak regarding this item? Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Michael, just to kind of run through it, went through planning and zoning, was approved. Committee approved it. You don't see any reason why we shouldn't approve this?
No, sir. We support the application. They met the majority of the special permit criteria. It's appropriate for the zoning district. The commission approved it unanimously, and there was no public opposition at all during the meeting.
Thank you, Michael.
Mr. Albert, what other type of businesses are in direct contact with this business that want to open this barroom?
Do you mean in the same building or?
Same building within that?
The sushi restaurant, I think, is the only other business that's kind of in that building block. Is that correct?
In the building is
Yeah.
sushi cafe.
Yeah, it's just the sushi business in there. There's some light manufacturing around the area, but.
The office building and warehouse distribution.
Thank you. Any other council discussion? Please cast your votes for file number 2021-0231. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2021-0234, resolution supporting the St. Charles Parish Public Defender's Office in executing an agreement with the Board of Trustees of the Parochial Employees Retirement System to secure coverage for eligible officers and employees of the St. Charles Parish Public Defender's Office. Mr. Corey Ou or Mr.
Yes,
Swan?
I'm going to defer to Mrs. Fenwick Swan on this matter.
Okay.
So, good evening, I guess it is now. Fenn Swan, I'm the District Public Defender for St. Charles Parish. And thank you for hearing, thank you, Mr. President, Madam Chairperson, as well as Council for hearing this today. This is in reference merely to asking for a resolution so that I can sign on behalf of my office to be able to get retirement for 3 members of my staff, 2 members of my staff and myself. This is for all of the W-2 employees, and that is all we have of W-2 employees. Everyone else is a contract employee. This is required for us to be able to be on the parochial retirement, as we no longer have an IDB board. We no longer have a board over us. Therefore, when speaking with parochial, I was informed that we would need to get a resolution from the council. So that is why we're here today. This is not a request for any funding whatsoever from this council or from the parish. We have the funding to do this. It's going to amount to about $13,000 per year. It has already been budgeted. We are on a fiscal year budget, and we started our fiscal year in July. We've already budgeted for this in our budget that was already approved. So all I'm asking for is a resolution allowing us to be able to go in front of the parochial retirement, and we shall make the payments directly from my office. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
File number 2021-0234 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just want to reiterate that the parish, as in St. Charles Parish government, is not encumbered or obligated at any point now or in the future for this resolution, just as a clarification.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to apologize to Mr. Swan. I thought this was going to be at our next meeting, so apologize.
Apology accepted, and no need.
Miss Billings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Forgive me to say that. Very sorry.
It's okay.
I wanted to make a comment in favor of this resolution. I believe that the stability within the public defender's office that this might afford would better make our prosecutor's office have to perform to a higher level, and our law enforcement. And in a parish where our law enforcement is highly respected, a cohesive, complete system is good for us all.
Thank you. Please cast your votes for file number 2021-0234. And that passes unanimously. A motion and a second is needed to return to the regular order of meeting.
Make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Gibbs and a second by Ms. Billings. Please cast your votes to return to the regular order of the agenda. And that passes unanimously. Appointments. Item number 2021-0226, a resolution to appoint a member of the Industrial Development Board on September 7th, 2021. Council Chairman will accept nominations to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Ricky Bosco, 6-year term to begin October 1st, 2021 and expire October 1st, 2027. Item number 2021-0227, a resolution to appoint a member to the Industrial Development Board. On September 7th, 2021, Council Chairman will accept nominations to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Robert Colon, Jr., 6-year term to begin October 1st, 2021 and expire October 1st, 2027. Item number 2021-0228, a resolution to appoint a member to the Industrial Development Board on September 7th, 2021. Council Chairman will accept nominations to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Corey Fauché, 6-year term to begin October 1st, 2021 and expire October 1st, 2027. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings. Hospital Service District Number 1, Tuesday, August 24th, 21, 2 p.m. Council Chambers. Housing Authority, Tuesday, August 31st, 6 p.m. Council Chambers. Lafourche Basin Levy District, Wednesday, September 1st, 6 p.m. Lafourche Basin Levy District Office, 21380 Highway 20, Bashery. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, September 2nd, 6 p.m. Council Chambers. St. Charles Parish Council, Tuesday, September 7th, 6 p.m. Council Chambers. Due to the parish holiday, please note our council meeting will be held on Tuesday instead of Monday. Announcements, parish holiday. Monday, September 6th, 2021, Labor Day. Important dates for the October 9th, 2021 election. Wednesday, September 8th, 2021, last day to register to vote in person or by mail. Saturday, September 18th, 2021, last day to register to vote online at govote.com. Tuesday, October 5th, 2021, last day to request absentee by mail ballots. Early voting. Saturday, September 25th, 2021, Monday, September 27th, and Saturday, October 2nd, 2021, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. West Bank Courthouse, 15045 River Road, Hahnville, and the East Bank is at the Auterbury Building, 14564 River Road, New Sarpy. Friday, October 8th, 21, last day to register to receive voted absentee ballot. Saturday, October 9th, 2021, Election Day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Board of Review. Parish Council will be sitting as a Board of Review September 10th through September 24th, 2021. 2021 Assessment List. Written or oral protests must be received by the Parish Council office by September 13th, 21, 4 p.m. Public housing to consider, public hearings to consider the proposed 2022 capital and consolidated operated budget. Tuesday, October 26th, 9 a.m. Thursday, October 28th, 6 p.m. Monday, November 1st, 6 p.m. Adjournment. A motion and a second is needed to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Gibbs. I have a second by Ms. Gordon. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that passes unanimously. On behalf of St. Charles Parish Council, we wish everyone a happy Labor Day and a great evening. We are officially adjourned.
Beginning in June, St. Charles Parish will see a redesigned water bill. We have made some improvements to ensure reading your bill is easy and clear. A box at the top has been added to clearly show the amount due date, and what amount would be due should you pay your bill late. Below that, we have outlined your account history to reflect your previous charges, most recent payment, and total account balance. We have also outlined all the ways to pay your bill, which include in person, pay by phone, or online at www.stcharlesparish-la.gov/waterbill. The consumption chart has been moved to the top left of the bill and has been updated to show consumption history in gallons. Lastly, we continue to outline your itemized charges in a chart illustrating all services, including water, sewerage fees, garbage fee, safe drinking fee, and any other related charges. The Department of Waterworks staff remains committed to assisting residents and can be contacted at 985-783-5110 if you have any questions regarding your bill.
We used to have major flooding, for example, back in '08. This whole area right here was under standing water. The water would come back into the people's yards, and the houses would be surrounded by water in the backyards. There would literally be snakes, alligators, things like that that would come up out of the marsh and come back up into the people's yards.
We analyzed 17 years of events prior to the application, and we had 50 different flood events. We discussed NFIP damages that were in the area. We also discussed future damages. That's what the benefit cost analysis was based on, the damage frequency assessment.
This is one of our more technical stations. It runs off telemetry. It's automatic start on automatic functions. The level control system works off a radar system as far as the level transmitters, and we're able to transmit the telemetry system back to our Public Works office. There are cameras around this building. During a storm event, we're able to set back in the Public Works office and monitor the station. We can actually start and stop it from the office. And during hurricanes, we can shift over and control it from our EOC building. This pumping system and the levee system that's here has allowed us to lower the water tables to where instead of the people seeing 2.5 feet of water in their backyards, literally, we're able to keep the water in the canals and in the ditches.
We mitigated $16 million of damages with the construction of this pump station. To have us and have a system that protects us and allows us to continue living here and continue our way of life is very important to everyone.
When emergencies happen, we want you to be the first to know.
But if we can't reach you, we can alert you.
That's why we need you to register for our new emergency alert system, SCP Alerts.
Signing up is easy.
So text SCP Alerts to 888-777 to get our messages.
From weather-related updates and emergencies
to evacuations and more.
Sign up for SCP Alerts.
Because our first priority is keeping you safe.
In a natural disaster, severe weather, or local emergency, we want you to know what to do.
Through SCP Alerts, we can help you be prepared and stay safe.
Text SCP Alerts to 888-777.
When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Sign up for SCP Alerts today.
Hope floats. And in DeSalmons, so does Father Ray Hemel.
God surely has made this a wonderful resource, and there is an official church blessing for boats.
Hemel took to the water to share blessings at St. Gertrude the Great's Blessing of the Fleet. Dozens and dozens of boaters pass by this pontoon pulpit to receive their blessings. From working boats to pleasure boats, Father Hemel handed down a nautical blessing to each vessel.
We use the prayer of the church. We gather not just Catholics, but all Christians, all people of all denominations for that matter, to say we are called to be responsible stewards of the earth's gifts.
They're coming out into the community. I think that's what all churches should do. It's supposed to be for the people to be closer to God, and this is just awesome.
And while the blessing of the fleet is a fairly new event in DeSalmons, the importance of our waterways is not lost on this or other local communities.
And this part of the bayou in DeSalmons never really had that kind of an official blessing before. But my predecessor, the late Father John Ryan, who passed away just a year ago, a little less than a year ago, he came here in 2017 from Lafitte. So he wanted to start this.
Had a good turnout, you see, boats everywhere. So I would definitely encourage them to come out, spend the day with us. Have your boat blessed, come out for a good time.
And never in my lifetime would have thought I would have ever seen a priest on a boat, ever. And honestly, it's the coolest turnout I've ever seen. And I mean, I feel honored to experience it.
For the people of this area to gather to celebrate one of the natural resources, catfish, here on Bayou DeSalmons, the Catfish Festival has been that since 1975. So this is just kind of an extension of that, this blessing of the boats and the blessing of the fleet.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Ed Reed, St. Charles Parish, and other partners built this park in St. Rose, the purpose was simple.
We got to give our kids something else to do, though. We can't say stop the shooting, stop the drugs, and they don't have an outlet. I'm saying it, but I wanted them to make sure they had an outlet, something else to do, you know? So we got to give them something to do. You can't say stop doing them, but they don't have nothing else to fall back on, you know? So we got to do more, and this is part of it, man.
Such an example for the young kids who might be coming up, who want to follow in Ed Reed's footsteps. So we're excited to have this park, and we're excited to be able to, maintain it and keep it going for years to come for our residents.
We're going to build this park. I'm not sure if you know, but Parquet Park is what we call it.
The football icon and St. Rose native wanted to follow in the footsteps of his mentor, Ben Parquet, by giving something to the youth in this community, while also honoring the man who gave so much to Reed himself.
As long as I've ever known Mr. Parquet, he's been serving people. Who am I not to do the same? Because he's the reason why I was able to achieve my goal, you know?
I just was amazed, and I just was kind of dumbfounded because, a lot of people in the community knew, my family knew, but I just didn't have a clue. And I felt honored, I felt thrilled, and, I don't know if I deserve it, but, I think I was just pleased to hear it.
Once you leave, home never leaves the heart. Home never leaves the heart. And you always want to better your community because you know what you were dealing with when you was there in the community and what you needed. So now that you're able to put back into the community, that's an awesome thing.
This park is not only a tribute to Parquet, but also a vital tool in giving our local kids a place to embrace much-needed recreational opportunities here in St. Rose.
Things like this, kids, like my camp, it gives me life, it gives him life. Helping kids, helping people, seeing the smiles on kids' face, bringing that joy. We're here to serve.
This is a great example of what community members who partner with St. Charles Parish and other organizations like the United Way and IMTT, when they come together and collaborate ideas, what you see behind me is the type of production that they can put to our residents in St. Charles Parish.
The park, which contains a 100 by 300 foot turf field, 2 basketball courts, a large playground, and a walking path, became a reality from a partnership that included not only the Ed Reed Foundation and St. Charles Parish, but also IMTT and the United Way of St. Charles Parish. And while the project took years to come together,
we just trying to build our foundation and help what we can.
This park is now a living and breathing component of the community of St. Rose.
Amazing, truly excitement. Like I can't explain that joy.
This park will no doubt contribute to our dynamic quality of life, but also stand as a lasting tribute to the importance of mentorship and investing in our youth.
When I talk to Ed, I always say, Ed, I'm proud of Ed, the football player, but I'm more proud of Ed, the man, the type of guy that he's become, and, and what he's done to help the community here, the community in Baltimore, He's a tremendous guy.
Hats off to Mr. P, man.
St. Charles Parish website has a new look and a new name. Welcome to stcharlesparish.gov, the new and improved home for all things St. Charles Parish. For the past 10 months, the Public Information Office has worked with Granicus to overhaul the existing website and transformed it from top to bottom to create a more user-friendly and efficient experience. Our new site features improved navigation. As you hover over the menu items, you will see all the pages that the site has to offer. When you scroll down, the menu stays fixed at the top of the screen so that any time you need to use it, it is right there. The Service Finder is intended to make navigation and decision-making less time-consuming for you. When you click the Service Finder, determine what you want to do by clicking the drop-down arrow. Narrow your selection in the next column and then click Learn More to find exactly what you are looking for. You can use this feature to adopt a pet, pay your water bill, learn more about what the parish has to offer, find employment, and more. You can also use our new and improved Smart Search tool. Once you search a term, you can filter your search down by department, content type, and more to get exactly what you are looking for. Our homepage features some of the most visited pages on our website. Be sure to explore news, the calendar, SCP alerts, SCP TV, and our social media sites as well. Analytics show more people visiting our site on a mobile device than ever before. That is why it was crucial that we create a user-friendly experience for both desktop and mobile users. To achieve this, we now use large buttons on all of our pages, making finding information, forms, and other links easier as well. Additionally, all pages on the site are responsive and viewable on mobile devices. The new St. Charles Parish website was redesigned with our residents in mind. Come and experience stcharlesparish.gov today. Beginning in June, St. Charles Parish will see a redesigned water bill. We have made some improvements to ensure reading your bill is easy and clear. A box at the top has been added to clearly show the amount due date, and what amount would be due should you pay your bill late. Below that, we have outlined your account history to reflect your previous charges, most recent payment, and total account balance. We have also outlined all the ways to pay your bill, which include in person, pay by phone, or online at www.stcharlesparish-la.gov/waterbill. The consumption chart has been moved to the top left of the bill and has been updated to show consumption history in gallons. Lastly, we continue to outline your itemized charges in a chart illustrating all services, including water, sewerage fees, garbage fee, safe drinking fee, and any other related charges. The Department of Waterworks staff remains committed to assisting residents and can be contacted at 985-783-5110 if you have any questions regarding your bill.
We used to have major flooding, for example, back in '08. This whole area right here was under standing water. The water would come back into the people's yards, and the houses would be surrounded by water in the backyards. There would literally be snakes, alligators, things like that that would come up out of the marsh and come back up into the people's yards.
We analyzed 17 years of events prior to the application, and we had 50 different flood events. We discussed NFIP damages that were in the area. We also discussed future damages. That's what the benefit cost analysis was based on, the damage frequency assessment.
This is one of our more technical stations. It runs off telemetry. It's automatic start on automatic functions. The level control system works off a radar system as far as the level transmitters, and we're able to transmit the telemetry system back to our Public Works office. There are cameras around this building. During a storm event, we're able to set back in the Public Works office and monitor the station. We can actually start and stop it from the office. And during hurricanes, we can shift over and control it from our EOC building. This pumping system and the levee system that's here has allowed us to lower the water tables to where instead of the people seeing 2.5 feet of water in their backyards, literally, we're able to keep the water in the canals and in the ditches.
We mitigated $16 million of damages with the construction of this pump station. To have us and have a system that protects us and allows us to continue living here and continue our way of life is very important to everyone.
When emergencies happen, we want you to be the first to know.
But if we can't reach you, we can't alert you.
That's why we need you to register for our new emergency alert system, SCP Alerts.
Signing up is easy.
So text SCP Alerts to 888-777 to get our messages.
From weather-related updates and emergencies
to evacuations and more.
Sign up for SCP alerts.
Because our first priority is keeping you safe.
In a natural disaster, severe weather, or local emergency, we want you to know what to do.
Through SCP Alerts, we can help you be prepared and stay safe.
Text SCP Alerts to 888-777.
When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Sign up for SCP Alerts today.
Hope floats. And in DeSalmons, so does Father Ray Hemel.
God surely has made this a wonderful resource, and there is an official church blessing for boats.
Hemel took to the water to share blessings at St. Gertrude the Great's Blessing of the Fleet. Dozens and dozens of boaters passed by this pontoon pulpit to receive their blessings. From working boats to pleasure boats, Father Hemel handed down a nautical blessing to each vessel.
We use the prayer of the church. We gather not just Catholics, but all Christians, all people of all denominations for that matter, to say we are called to be responsible stewards of the earth's gifts.
They're coming out into the community. I think that's what all churches should do. It's supposed to be for the people to be closer to God, and this is just awesome.
And while the Blessing of the Fleet is a fairly new event in DeSalmons, the importance of our waterways is not lost on this or other local communities.
And this part of the bayou in DeSalmons never really had that kind of an official blessing before. But my predecessor, the late Father John Ryan, who passed away just a year ago, a little less than a year ago, he came here in 2017 from Lafitte. So he wanted to start this.
Had a good turnout, you see, boats everywhere. So I would definitely encourage them to come out, spend the day with us. Have your boat blessed, come out for a good time.
Never in my lifetime would have thought I would have ever seen a priest on a boat. Ever. And honestly, it's the coolest turnout I've ever seen, and I mean, I feel honored to experience it.
For the people of this area to gather to celebrate one of the natural resources, catfish, here on Bayou DeSalmons, the Catfish Festival has been that since 1975. So this is just kind of an extension of that, this blessing of the boats and the blessing of the fleet.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Ed Reed, St. Charles Parish, and other partners built this park in St. Rose, the purpose was simple.
We got to give our kids something else to do, though. We can't say stop the shooting, stop the drugs, and they don't have an outlet. I'm saying it, but I wanted them to make sure they had an outlet, something else to do. You know, so we got to give them something to do. You can't say stop doing nothing, but they don't have nothing else to fall back on. You know, so we got to do more, and this is part of it, man.
Such an example for the young kids who might be coming up who want to follow in Ed Reed's footsteps. So we're excited to have this park, and we're excited to be able to maintain it and keep it going for years to come for our residents.
We go in Village Park. I'm not sure if you know, but Parquet Park is what we call it.
The football icon and St. Rose native wanted to follow in the footsteps of his mentor, Ben Parquet, by giving something to the youth in this community, while also honoring the man who gave so much to Reed himself.
As long as I've ever known Mr. Parquet, he's been serving people. Who am I not to do the same? Because he's the reason why I was able to achieve my goal, you know?
I just was amazed, and I just was kind of dumbfounded because, you know, a lot of people in the community knew, my family knew, but I just didn't have a clue. And I felt honored, I felt thrilled, and, you know, I don't know if I deserve it, but, you know, I think I was just pleased to hear it.
Once you leave, home never leaves the heart. Home never leaves the heart. And you always want to better your community because you know what you were dealing with when you was there in the community and what you needed. So now that you're able to put back into the community, that's an awesome thing.
This park is not only a tribute to Parquet, but also a vital tool in giving our local kids a place to embrace much-needed recreational opportunities here in St. Rose.
Things like this, kids, like my camp, it gives me life, it gives him life. Helping kids, helping people, seeing the smiles on kids' face, bringing that joy. We're here to serve.
This is a great example of what community members who partner with St. Charles Parish and other organizations like the United Way and IMTT, when they come together and collaborate ideas, what you see behind me is the type of production that they can put to our residents in St. Charles Parish.
The park, which contains a 100 by 300 foot turf field, 2 basketball courts, a large playground, and a walking path, became a reality from a partnership that included not only the Ed Reed Foundation in St. Charles Parish, but also IMTT and the United Way of St. Charles Parish. And while the project took years to come together,
we just trying to build our foundation and help what we can.
This park is now a living and breathing component of the community of St. Rose.
Amazing, truly excitement. Like I can't explain that joy.
This park will no doubt contribute to our dynamic quality of life, but also stand as a lasting tribute to the importance of mentorship and investing in our youth.
When I talk to Ed, you know, I always say, Ed, I'm proud of Ed, the football player, but I'm more proud of Ed, the man, you know, the type of guy that he'll become, and, you know, and what he's done to help the community here, the community in Baltimore, you know. He's a tremendous guy.
Hats off to Mr. P, man.